Good morning. All right, I want to do a quick review of this Realtor Magazine article. I don't know how many of you guys get this. It has some great articles that come out on a very regular basis, but I liked this one because of the timely nature of it. 7 Habits to Boost Business in 2023 by Tim and Julie Harris. Now, well, I question everything that I read, and I base everything based off of my own experience, or I evaluate everything based off of my own experience. And I rarely agree with everything that comes out because it just, we all have different experiences, and sometimes it doesn't reflect mine. Most of this article does, though. So we've all got challenges to goals. And in fact, they mention SMART goals here: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. If you've been in any of my trainings, I take some liberties with this, and I replace the achievable with action steps. Like, I want detailed action steps so that I've got a specific goal, it's measurable, and what do I need to do specifically each day to get there? Because I think achievable and realistic, they're kind of duplicate each other. Anyways, moving on with this, a couple of things here. Praise your team for their efforts, not results. Now, I think this goes beyond your team as well. So if you're getting a referral from a friend or a past client or something like that, maybe that referral doesn't actually end up going through to closing. Maybe you go out and talk with them and their credit isn't in a situation where they can buy a home yet. But the person did think of you. They did, your past client did think of you. They did refer you. Make sure that they're rewarded for that. Okay. And again, this is just a good way to live your life. If people are making an effort, regardless of the results that yields, it's a good thing to give them praise for making the effort. This one: be calm and unflappable, regardless of what happened before you walked in the door. Now, this is designed towards brokers. Obviously, you're the broker, the leader. The mood sets the tone in the firm every day. Being calm. Now, I think this applies to everybody, whether you're a broker or not, in every aspect of your life. Being calm and unflappable is a big deal. And honestly, the one time I struggle with this is when I'm driving. It is really hard to go behind that person 10 miles below the speed limit and they're parked in the fast lane. And in the right lane, there's a semi blocking it up. That's where I lose my calm and unflappability. But beyond that, I do a pretty good job with this. And what I've noticed is a lot of people don't. And when they don't, how it affects everybody around them, and there's mixed reactions. Sometimes it's fear because of how they lash out. Sometimes it's a little bit of laughter because that person isn't necessarily powerful. It's more like a child throwing a tantrum, and it kind of silly, but at the same time, it's embarrassing because we're not children, we're adults. But the person is relatively harmless. And so anyways, none of those things. You don't want people to be afraid of you. You don't want them to think you look ridiculous either. And we live in a world where I think a lot of people, whether it's taking offense at everything around us or whatever, we're not calm and unflappable. Everything flaps us, right? So something to work on, right? Next, do not check your email in the morning. Now, I actually don't agree with this one, and I'll tell you why, because he actually addresses it further down in the article. I do agree with part of his philosophy here. It says, give your best, most productive hours of the day to your own goals, not someone else's, as stated in their email. So set yourself up to act on an email, not react to it, and don't allow your priorities and goals to be hijacked by an email. Now, I agree with all of that. Okay, but I also espouse taking control of your life as a whole. And for me, that means evenings. Okay, so I don't give myself away 24/7 like I've heard many agents recommend or talk or even sometimes brag about. Call me anytime, day or night. And I'm like, oh no, don't do that. That does not engender respect by the people that you work with. So if I tell my people, my sphere of influence, my friends, my clients, my agents, that my day ends at a certain time, and you can leave a voicemail or an email or whatever for me, and I'll respond to that first thing in the morning, that gives me a sense of peace at the end of the day where I can let go of things, and they know that they're going to get responded to first thing in the morning. If I make them wait until noon, then their best part of their day is gone as well. And so for me, that's a personal thing for me is I'll go through my emails, I'll scan through everything, and then I make my plan. And some of those things are things that need immediate attention, and some of them can wait until I've done my important business. But my agents are my important business. And so if they have some needs, now I can't address those needs after 6 or 7 at night. Title company's gone to bed, lenders have gone to bed, nobody's working then. I can't solve problems at night. But by 9 o'clock in the morning, everybody's up and working, and I can hit those things. So I actually check my email first thing, and I plan my mornings each day as I start the day. And I know a lot of you like to have a plan before you go to bed. I can't do that, and there's no right or wrong. I just can't do it because if I start thinking about work right before I go to bed, then I can't shut my mind off and I don't sleep at all. So I wake up in the morning with a fresh mind, unencumbered by burdens yet. I sit down, I unwrap all my burdens like Christmas, right? I unwrap everything and there's all my problems. And then I go through and I plan and I categorize and say, okay, these are the important things that I have to get to today. But these agents' needs, usually they're pretty simple. Let's get those addressed first very quickly so that my agents can also move on with their day and have a productive morning. All right, next one. Only do what's important. Complete your planned activities first and ask yourself whether anything else is essential. This is important. And what goes without being said here is that you have planned activities. You have a business plan as a whole. And I try to train my agents all the time, have a plan, because without a plan, then you're just everybody else's slave. You're just reacting to what everybody else, kind of like what he says here with step number 3. So we're doing what's important. But again, for me, I take that and I plan my day out in advance and say, okay, here's my priorities. And then I can get to the non-essential stuff later on. This one is important. Make any and all distractions go away. And this is very hard with these horrible devices, right? I mean, they're magic. Everybody can reach us from everywhere, but at the same time, everybody can reach us from everywhere. And it's hard. And so one of the reasons I work from home, mostly, this is my home back here, is because when I do go into the office, there are significant interruptions. And so I actually get more done at home. Now, I know some of you are the opposite. You actually need to get out of the home and to the office where there's less interruptions, whatever works for you. But trying to get away from distractions so that you can be focused, you can make dramatic changes in your day. Where I used to work 12-hour days consistently, 6 days a week. And when I can stay focused, I can trim that down to 8 hours a day and actually be 50% more productive. And I've done that. I've evaluated, I've tracked all the numbers and everything. If I can stay focused, I can get all of my work done and 50% more than I had previously when I'm constantly being distracted. All right, consistent routines, I am 100% in favor of, because when you have to constantly challenge yourself, like, oh, I have to do this hard thing, I have to do this hard thing. When you do that hard thing every single day, it doesn't become a hard thing any longer. And so when you find the things that work, and his says, the 8-2 rule, out of the 10 things you do each day, only 2 of them are really responsible for the success of your company. Find out what those 2 things are and do them every day. Try to eliminate the other 8. When you identify the things that work, they're usually hard things. They're challenging things. And it takes some emotional energy, some mental energy to get those things done. But when you do it every day, it requires less and less mental and emotional energy. And this applies to, I think, everybody. So try to identify what works and then build a routine where you do that every day. And then lastly, define tomorrow's 1 or 2 priorities or goals the night before. I've already talked about that. I can't do that. Okay. If I'm doing it the night before, I can't turn off my mind, but I absolutely need to do it that morning. And so I start with a fresh mind in the morning. I make my list. And then again, I've taken liberties with the SMART: specific, measurable, action steps. What specific action items am I going to do to accomplish those goals? And is this realistic? And, do I have a time constraint on this? Anyways, folks, great article. I like the article, and there's some great tips here for everybody that whether you made a New Year's resolution or not. This information here will help you be consistent. I know those that didn't make resolutions already have goals and they're just continuing forward. These types of things help those goals become more of a reality.